Des Moines, and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, 7 minutes after the hour of 3. Good afternoon. How are you? I've been waiting for you all day long. I have been thinking about you. I've been thinking about what you're thinking about. I've been thinking about what you're concerned about. And I think I have some very, very unusual local news stories to share with you this hour. For instance, a naked man in Southridge Mall, when coming out of the bathroom, he's seen by some people and he put his finger up to his lips and went, shh, and then went back into the bathroom and put his clothes on. You'll never believe what happens next. Also, well, after 3 full days of deliberation, a jury has found Pete Polson guilty of that little shooting spree in Pleasant Hill, and also a tragic story that may end well for a 3-year-old little boy. But first, the top news stories of the day. Let's go to reporter Frank the Verse Thomas, who has been live in front of his TV all day watching Hillary, the next president of the United States, Clinton, lie.
Let's just say Ms. Secretary Pinocchio was testifying before Congress today. And you probably would say that Tom Coates and I ask long-winded questions, wouldn't you, Mac?
Yes.
Okay. Well, none other than Congressman Elijah Cumming would take his 10 minutes and use 9 minutes and 50 seconds of it to filibuster what was supposed to be a question and would give Hillary about 10 seconds to answer. Now, you, Mac, once upon a time aspired to be in law, correct?
Aspired to be what?
Be in law.
Yes.
Okay. If you was going to give a witness a certain amount of time to testify and you wanted to catch that person telling a lie, wouldn't you give them as much opportunity to talk as possible?
Absolutely.
To implicate themselves?
Absolutely.
Well, none other than Eli Cummings and Tammy Duckworth were running interference for Mrs. Clinton. They wouldn't let her answer anything because they spent all their time bloviating.
Bloviating?
Yes, bloviating, opining, whatever you want to say.
That's a Bill O'Reilly.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's not a real word, is it?
Sure.
Oh,
it is? A bloviating?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
That means just, giving your opinions.
Blathering.
Yeah.
Blathering.
Like Frank.
Like me.
Oh. So it's talking like Frank.
Sure. But I said, if you think Tom Coates and I are long-winded, and then what do you think? You should have heard that spectacle today.
So did she do anything to bolster her not guilty plea?
No, but she got dumbfounded several times to where she was almost speechless when people were inquiring why someone like Sidney Blumenthal had her email, and quote unquote, he was a great friend. And she also said that Chris Stevens was a great friend of hers, but mysteriously,
that was the former ambassador to Libya.
That was the ambassador to Libya who was murdered and supposedly sodomized. I don't know if the reports of that is true, but if they are, he apparently didn't have her email, Bob.
Why not? Well, hold on. She was Secretary of State. He was an ambassador.
Yes. And if anybody would want to get a hold of the top dog at State Department, it would be, you hand out your phone number on air. Why wasn't Hillary Clinton, everybody who is overseas, have her immediate hotline email?
So what do you make of that?
I make of that she is Pinocchio and she's lying and her nose is bigger and longer than mine.
But why didn't they have any emails from Chris Stevens?
Because I believe they were deleted.
Oh, but that'd be illegal.
That would be illegal against the FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act.
Now, she's a Republican, right? Because she's not getting any heat for this.
Oh, she's a dedicated working stiff for the American people, and she is nose is growing as she speaks.
Don't we hold elected officials responsible for their actions?
We're supposed to, yes. But it seems like the Democrats in Congress, particularly Elijah Cummings, is running interference for Mrs. Clinton.
Oh, my, oh, my, oh, my.
I did look up bloviate.
Yeah?
Okay, it says talk at length.
Does it have Frank's picture next to it? That's all I want to know.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Talk at length, especially in an inflated or empty way.
Bloviating.
Bloviate.
Frank the verse bloviating. All right, so basically, what's your headline from Mrs. Clinton's testimony today?
Well, just
nothing.
Just a couple hours that I saw it, and Jim Jordan from Ohio particularly watched those highlights on the news tonight because he nailed her, basically saying that this idea that Susan Rice was trotted out on 5 Sunday morning talk shows to say that the attack was all over a video was a complete lie, and she was stunned and sat speechless for seconds while she was trying to conjure up a defense in her mind. You could see it just knocked her for a loop. It was like when Mike Tyson hammered somebody with a punch and they stood there looking stargazed for a second. Watch for the highlights tonight of the congressional hearing, and you will see her sit stunned, silent, several times.
Mrs. Clinton.
Mrs. Clinton. And that's just a couple hours that I was able to witness this morning, and that was the first half. And I assume the Senate will have a shot at her this evening.
Oh, well. And the ball continues to bounce down the road to Hillary Clinton's presidency, or she thinks. Of course, we learned yesterday that Joe Biden stepped out. I had many people, many people chat me or text me and text Facebook me, email me. They thought it was a ruse that Mr. Biden will step back in. Kind of what you said yesterday, Bob. A lot of people agreed with you. In fact, they even said, I agree with Bob.
Well, good.
Or I agree with the cat in the hat.
And I came up with that while I was watching his speech. I didn't listen to any of the media people with their opinion.
You came up with it on your own.
Absolutely.
He laid out quite a story about why he should be president.
Oh, absolutely.
And what he'd do if he were president.
Exactly.
And then he said, but I'm not running.
Exactly.
Why would you do that?
I know.
And I understood he took a couple of pretty hard shots at Hillary, too, didn't he,
Never
Bob?
mentioned her by name.
No, he just said that Republicans you need to work with, and you shouldn't
never
call
mentioned her by name.
Shouldn't call them your enemy.
Yeah, never mentioned her by
Backhanded slap.
Backhanded slap. Chris, do you care?
Do I care? I care who the president of the free world is, yes.
Do you?
Yes,
Okay.
I do care.
Well, it seems that the woman who wants to be the person, there's no gender involved here unless you're on her side, seems to think she can lie, cheat, and steal her way through the American political system and eventually hold the highest job in the land.
I think it's funny that someone running for president right now is being questioned by Congress. I mean, that's just not, that wouldn't be a good presidential strategist would say, you know what would be really great? If you could have to testify before Congress to some possible wrongdoing, because, you want to be president and all that. So as much media coverage as you can get would be really great. So do something really vile and detestable so that they have to question you about it. It's crazy. And that people are going to vote for her, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I apologize to those who I wonder, there were Christians that voted for Barack Obama. I mean, evangelicals, no less.
I don't get that.
There were.
Get that.
And
especially a second time, I don't get it.
Okay, the first time I get it, we were excited about.
Were those Catholics?
We were excited about stuff the first time. We talked about that at lunch, young man.
Excuse me. Sir.
And I don't know. I can't imagine any evangelical voting for Hillary. But maybe they are. I just don't know.
Maybe an evangelical who's listening to this radio station right now would call up and tell us why. I don't think so. But let's hope.
Let's hope.
244
Well, but you heard
0077 244 0077.
you heard statistics that I read off yesterday.
Yeah, 50% of all evangelicals don't vote.
Don't vote, which and that's 50% are registered, and 50% of that number don't vote, which means that 75% don't vote. So
That's sad.
Well, we've been told for years by feminists that men and women are interchangeable.
Sure.
Pay no attention to the sexes. A woman is just as equally endowed to do the job as a man. But yet, in the debate of the Democrats about a week ago, Hillary invoked womanhood at least 5 occasions, talking about how she'd be great as a woman president. But we've been told that sexes doesn't matter in it.
When are we going to stop playing? When am I? I'm guilty. When am I going to stop playing this volleyball back and forth that I actually expect a low information voter, progressive, Democrat, liberal, whatever you want to call them, is going to tell the truth and not be hypocritical? I mean, I'm serious. I'm kind of looking at myself in the mirror and I see stupid written on my forehead. Why should we expect anything different?
Well, it's really liars lie. That's what they do. That's what they do, Mac. Liars lie. I don't know what to say. It's not big and deep and profound. It's just the truth.
All right, more local news stories come up, including a good ending to a really horrible story that I unfortunately know more than I should have. Also, one Ron Paul campaigner is convicted, another acquitted. Those stories and more next on Mac's World.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock of the 22nd day of October in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and we're live here on Max World Live on 99.3. The Truth. If you are wondering, where am I? I thought I was on 98.3, and then I pushed scan because I heard music I didn't like, and now I'm here in Max World again. Is this deja vu? Is this program somewhere from the past? Yes, Bradshaw's here. Speak, Bradshaw, speak. Oh, no, he'd be a
No God.
He'd be a Chihuahua. Yeah, that'd be Bradshaw. By the way, he heard the show yesterday.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Is that right?
I got a text from him last night.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he thinks it's funny, and he wanted me to remind you that there is a separate entrance to the Webcast studios that he doesn't have to go through your side of the building.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, Donald Trump has finally made some Iowans mad. As you may or may not know, the latest Iowa poll is out, and Dr. Ben Carson is number one. He has leaped in front of Donald Trump by 2 points.
Who did the poll?
I don't know.
Doesn't say.
Well,
I'm just curious, how accurate that poll is.
All right, it's the QUINNIPLAC University poll.
Quinnipiac.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's my favorite poll.
That is. I like that. If I can pronounce it.
28% for Carson, 20%. So here's what Donald tweeted. Hashtag Ben Carson is now leading in the hashtag polls in hashtag Iowa. Too much hashtag Monsanto in the hashtag corn creates issues in the brain.
Oh.
Yep.
That is an insult.
Yep. The tweet was later deleted.
Oh, of course.
And Trump then tweeted, the young intern who accidentally did a retweet apologizes. Donald Catchall said, nice try, Donald, but weak. Apology not accepted by Iowans. The young intern who accidentally did a retweet apologizes. So what do you think of that tweet from the Donald?
Well, I have to say the tweet is funny.
It really is kind of funny.
It is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And what's funny about
we can
it,
have
too.
a sense of humor, can't we?
Yeah. I think what's funny about it is all the, quote, hashtagging. And, of course, you hashtag Monsanto, which gets you all kinds of nice traffic.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. It's a publicity stunt, whatever.
Isn't everything he does a publicity stunt, though?
Yes.
The guy hasn't
is
spent
Donald
a
Trump.
nickel on ads.
Right. And here, this is speaking of publicity stunt. So yesterday was Back to the Future Day.
Yeah.
And it is true. The writers of Back to the Future did, in fact, model Biff in Back to the Future 2, when he's like the big rich guy with the big Biff towers and all that stuff, was modeled after Donald Trump.
Really?
And there's a bunch of side-by-side pictures of the way they dressed Biff with the gold chains and the hair and the whole bit, and Trump around that time. It was modeled. It really was intended to kind of jokingly make fun of Donald Trump and the Trump Towers and all that kind of stuff in Back to the Future 2, which is kind of funny.
That's hilarious.
Now, did you know that when the movie came out, or just...
No, I didn't know. This came out because of all the big stuff, and of course Donald Trump's in the news, and Back to the Future was in the news, and so they did admit to being inspired.
Wow.
Of course, I don't think they meant any direct disrespect, just to kind of make fun of the mega-ness that is Trump, to have everything as Trump.
Hold on. Hold on.
Imitation is the biggest form of flattery, right? Is that the
not to
say?
The person who gets imitated? I mean, that's what we say. But
right, but Trump has literally everything. Trump has a board game. Trump has a building. Trump has steaks. Trump has bottled water. Trump has everything. There's a Trump for everything. I mean, he's got to kind of get it that it's funny.
If you were going to imitate me and try to flatter me, what would you say or do?
No. I would not do that.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. I can't imitate people very well. I would wear all black, and I would wear black shorts, and I would paint my legs white. I would wear sandals. I'd slick back my hair, dye it white, put on silver glasses, and I'd say things like, you can't say on the radio.
You don't need to. Not too many months from now, son, you're not going to need to dye your hair.
Oh, well then.
We're seeing a little gray. All right, Dateline, Des Moines, Iowa.
It's been a stressful week.
After 3 full days of deliberation, a jury has found Pete Polson guilty of his involvement in the Pleasant Hill shooting last November. Do you remember this? This was just crazy. I mean, this was a scene from a movie, Small Town USA. In fact, wasn't there a movie called Pleasantville?
Yeah.
Or something like that at one time? This perfect little town, which Pleasant Hill is a wonderful little community. This guy gets up in the morning and just starts shooting stuff. Seriously, just starts shooting stuff. He did inflict some serious injury to two people, Zach Whitehill and Matt Stevenson. Stevenson actually avoided being injured, but Whitehill was shot in the back and the neck and has permanent nerve damage as a result of the shooting. Polson was also found guilty of 2 counts of willful injury, causing serious injury, intimidation with a dangerous weapon, conspiracy to deliver a controlled substance. Oh, of course, drugs was involved. Possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver, and failure to affix. I love this. Are you ready? I mean, I'm sorry.
You didn't wear a seatbelt?
Can I be liberal for just a minute? This is one of the most ridiculous laws in the world. And failure to affix a drug stamp. So, do you know this law in Iowa?
You're joking.
No, I'm serious. So, if you're going to sell illegal drugs in the state of Iowa, the state wants you to come down and buy a drug stamp. You know those things you put on your garbage bags when you fill them with leaves and stuff, and then you put these stickers on the bags, and then they'll pick them up?
Right.
Okay, same kind of deal. You put this sticker on the drugs. Did I mention they were illegal?
You're joking.
No.
Now, is that a federal thing?
Does the sticker say stupid?
Is that federal or state?
Because if it's federal, then the feds can be involved in a drug case. You see what I'm saying? And therefore, it would make it. They have different penalties.
So if I'm but it says a.
Does that have to do with the states that have legal drugs, such as marijuana?
Well, but that wasn't the case until a couple of years ago, and we've had drug stamps around forever and ever. Polson didn't deny the shooting, but told jury when he took the stand, he didn't remember it because he used what? Drugs the night before. Polson showed little emotion as the verdict was read. I don't know why they always say that. They always tell us what he says or does. What does that mean? He showed little emotion.
Well, I think you want people to be repentant or shout and holler yippee or something.
Well, he's gonna be sentenced on December 9th, and he faces up to 50 years in jail. Now, I got to tell you, if I was found guilty of something that I could be 50 years in jail, I'm going to break down to my knees and sop like a little baby. But he showed no emotion.
You're probably still high.
So he wasn't trying to,
right?
He wasn't trying to garner sympathy. Is that your point?
I guess not. I don't know.
Iowa does have a drug tax.
All right, so it is Iowa.
I'm assuming that they don't specify, but
okay.
They do.
Now, you didn't know that, huh?
I just looked it up.
If you're going
but I'm
to
with
sell,
you. I mean, who? Seriously, I can't fathom that happening. Do people go get these stamps? Like, isn't that just an admission of guilt?
How
is that? How does that? Maybe there's something I'm not understanding here.
I don't know. I will tell you something very interesting. In the state of Missouri, you can ask me why I know this, but in the state of Missouri, prostitution is illegal. But if you are arrested for prostitution, you are also charged with not having a license to prostitute. I'm dead serious. You can buy a license in the state of Missouri to prostitute yourself. However, if caught doing it, it's illegal.
That way the state benefits both ways.
That's right.
Wow, that's insanity. That's just it's just trying to make it's just more money, right? It's just more things you can write on the ticket to ratchet up the fine or
I
whatever.
think it is.
Now, can we ask how he knows that?
Failure to affix
He's never been to Missouri ever.
a drug stamp. I've never, every time I hear that, I think, I want to know, I want to be at the courthouse when a guy walks in. Now just picture this. Guy walks in with a long leather trench coat, dark glasses, and a stocking hat, and walks up to the counter and says, "May I please buy a drug stamp?" Immediately, red sirens start sounding and lights begin to twirl. And he's arrested immediately for nothing.
Stupid.
And don't take this as I think drugs are okay. I don't think drugs are okay. But it just amazes me, the legal. You know what you get when you get 10 lawyers at the bottom of an ocean?
What's that?
A good start. This is what lawyers do. Now, if you're going to sell drugs in the state of Iowa, you have to have a drug stamp. But it's illegal to sell. But we encourage you to come down to the courthouse and buy a drug stamp. And by the way, we're going to get a thumbprint. We're going to get a picture. We're going to get a little spit for DNA. And we're going to get an address and a cell phone. Oh, and by the way, that drug stamp on the back has a GPS decoder. So we can follow you wherever you go. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. All right. Serious note for just a minute.
Okay.
Let's talk about something that we've been following for a long time here. It has basically ruined the life of a couple of different people. Maybe I'm a little closer to it because I know Ken Sorensen. I wouldn't tell you we're friends, but I would also not deny that I like him. Mm-hmm. And I think he did a good job as a state legislator. He unseated a very horrible Democrat and did a good job. But during that time, in the last minutes of the Michelle Bachmann campaign, which was going down the tubes, he jumped ship and went over to Ron Paul. And it was reported that he received $73,000 in cash, literally in an envelope handed to his wife at a restaurant while he went to the bathroom. Have you heard that story? They're sitting there with an operative. They're sitting there with a third party who owns an audiovisual company. Supposedly the money had come from the Ron Paul camp. I don't think Ron Paul knew anything about it. Kent and his wife and this guy go out to dinner. Kent gets up and goes to the bathroom. He gives his wife cash. When Kent comes back, the guy's gone. Picked up the tab, by the way, but he's gone. And the FBI is going to, they're going to try to prove that he is guilty of taking money under the table for a campaign switch, which you can't do. You can do a fair salary. These people that work for campaigns, they are paid. They're paid a salary just like anybody else.
Sure.
But you don't get that in $73,000 in $100 bills. Now, what has happened is former deputy campaign manager Dimitri Kasari was found guilty of causing a false record, but not guilty of obstruction of justice. Now, we were just talking about a drug stamp a minute ago. I want you to unpack that. He was found guilty of causing a false record, but giving that false record did not obstruct justice. So why is it illegal? If the lie you told doesn't make any difference, why are you convicted of telling the lie? Anyway, just me. The jury could not reach a verdict on 3 other charges. Then a man by the name of Jesse Benton, he was acquitted. He was a former Paul campaign chair, also is married to Ron Paul's granddaughter. God is great, Benton told reporters as he left the courthouse. It feels good. Prosecutors will continue to pursue Kent Sorensen and Michelle Sorensen, and that trial is coming up. I feel bad for that family. I feel bad. I'm not saying I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong. I'm just saying I feel bad for him because their lives are just wrecked. All right, let's take a break. We're coming back. I'm going to tell you something that'll just make you weep and then smile.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network news at the top, an expanded version at 3 and 4 o'clock, so you get more news. That's kind of what we're trying to do in our first hour of Max World Live, is bring you some local news that maybe you're not hearing anyplace else. And why? Why do we do this? Well, we hope to entertain you. We hope to inform you. We hope to enthrall you. Every once in a while, I kind of want your dander to get up, like the next story I'm about to read, although it's got a happy ending. But we as Christians, you know, people get this idea that the only thing we ever want to listen to is Jesus, preaching, Bible verses, and more Jesus. And that's not true. Yeah. At least not for me. I want to hear the news. I want to know what's going on in my community. And it can't always be tied to a biblical worldview. If it could always be tied to a biblical worldview, I don't think you'd listen to me. I don't think you'd enjoy me. I think you'd see me like, who was that guy that built the entertainment thing? Tammy and...
Baker.
Jim Baker.
Yeah, Jim Baker and Tammy Baker. Didn't they eventually, and I'm sorry, I could be wrong on here, but didn't they kind of become a joke?
They did, and I think I want to echo what you're saying, Mac. What you find, I hope, with this show and on 99.3 is honesty, right? We're not phonies, right? I don't think we're trying to pretend like we're perfect Christians. I don't think we're trying to pretend like, you know, we always do the right thing and that we're always holy and we're always righteous and we know the Bible verse for everything. But I would add, Mac, to your thing here, we know what right and wrong is. We know when something's just and we know when something's unjust or unjust because we have the Scripture, because we know what right and wrong is. Without those things, then how do you know that it's wrong to do something? I mean, so there is a sense in which we do apply our worldview at all times,
but
right?
The Christian will always filter it through a faith lens.
I think so.
Like the 70s country song, Looking Through Rose-Colored Glasses.
Yeah. John Conley.
Yes, absolutely.
That's who's saying that.
Yeah.
So everything you see as a Christian, these stories that
have a biblical worldview.
You're going to see them through a biblical worldview.
Right. It makes us think, gosh, where's the world going? How are things going in the world? It makes us think about things. I know as a believer, oftentimes I look for justice to come more swiftly when I hear stories like this. But I'm excited about this next story. So let's not talk about this silliness because this is really cool. Well, it starts really bad.
It starts really bad.
Really
now,
bad.
I must tell you up front that I have a very, very, very personal connection to this story.
Right.
I cannot. Can I reveal this?
No.
I can't, can I? Okay, I can't reveal. But I promise you that I have a very, very, very personal connection to this story. A Des Moines woman on Monday night was at the Hy-Vee parking lot on Southeast 14th. Now, this is about 1:45. And she's there with her 3-year-old child. And this woman, out in the parking lot, on camera, by the way, was seen beating, slapping, picking up her 3-year-old child and body slamming him to the pavement, all while saying, "I hate you. You're not my son. I'm sorry you were ever born." Obviously, there were some good people who saw this, immediately called 911, prevented her from going and leaving. By the way, I can tell you her name, Shauna Renee. This is I'm reading a story right now off of Channel 13, but it's in all the news. Channel 8 did a story on it last night. As she drove around the parking lot looking for a wallet, an SUV followed her and tried to get Davis to stop her car. The woman in the SUV accused Davis of hitting her son. Hitting him. When Davis told the police her side of the story, her child in the car said, unprompted, "Mama hurt. Mama hit." I can also tell you that this child is waking up in the middle of the night with his arms railing as if he's trying to fight somebody off, going, "No, Mama, no. No, Mama, no hit." The child was rubbing his head at the time of the police officer showing up, saying, "Mama hurt. Mama hurt." Medics were called. Marks on the child. Davis was sent to Polk County Jail. Her initial appearance in front of the judge yesterday, $5,000 is her bond. Additional criminal history includes a disorderly conduct, an OWI, pleading guilty to an assault on a police officer, among other traffic violations. DHS has stepped in, removed her parental guardianship, not parental guardian, parental rights, and has placed the child in another couple's home. And I know that couple, and that's how I know what I know. But I want you to imagine that you are holding this 3-year-old boy in your arms, finally safe, at home in your living room, watching TV, thinking how much God has blessed you to be able to bring this child into your home and give him a loving, God-centered, Christ-followed home. And as this boy lay sleeping in your arms, he begins to flail, his eyes still shut. He's still asleep. He's flailing his arms like he's trying to push someone off of him or prevent someone from hitting him. And this 3-year-old boy is saying, "No, Mama hurt. No, Mama hit. No, Mama hurt." We need to pray for Shauna Renee. Okay? Don't get mad at her. We are very fortunate that the authorities have done exactly what they needed to do here. They removed the child from her. I seriously doubt whether she'll ever regain custody of this child again. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I have no idea. If we're going to do what's best for the child, do you put him back there? Now, is it fair to mom? I mean, we talk about the fact that we're Christians, we're faith-based people. This is the mother of the child. Do we as a society have the right to remove, at age 3, to remove this child from their mother? Chris says yes. Yeah, and you were a foster parent for years, so you must have seen a little of this from here and there.
Yeah. I've never held a child doing that, but I can tell you that the parents that are holding that child right now, it's powerful.
Yeah.
And we talk about the faith issue, and oftentimes we hear stories like this that are terrible, but I want all of us to hear what God is doing in that story, that God is protecting that child.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, there's several blessings going on inside this family, and maybe I hope someday I can talk about it.
Yeah.
But God is blessing not only the child, he is blessing the family that has volunteered to take the child, and in many ways, blessing Renee in the hopes that maybe this is a wake-up call.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got a 12-year history of doing the wrong stuff, and this kid's only 3, so this has been going on for a while.
Yeah.
But what ultimately happens to this child will be what side of the pendulum the abuse is swung on. Because a lot of times DHS will take these kids and put them in foster care, and then sometimes they want to reunite them with the family, depending on which side of the abuse pendulum somebody done something bad on, because there's some horror stories in foster care too. And so when there's this horror story in foster care, then they want to err more on the side of reuniting with the parents. Then when something happens bad with the parents, then they want to err on the side of foster parents. So depending where that pendulum is where ultimately this kid will end up.
Well, right now, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, that's one of the sad realities of the state trying to get involved in something that they need to be involved in, but they don't have the moral compass oftentimes to come to a right answer, and that's where we need to pray and trust that God will do what's right for this child and for this family.
Coming up next hour, an amazing story of a young lady I met, guess where? In a parking lot. But next, 25 really weird things said to pastors. Next on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
All right, 10 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News at the top, and then I have a very special guest scheduled. Most bizarre story. I'll tell you that whole story when we come back after the 4 o'clock news break. So one of my favorite listeners Facebooks me and says, "What's on the show for tomorrow?" And this is half hour into the show. Now, what am I thinking? She's so bored.
She's so bored, she's just waiting for tomorrow to come.
Yeah,
That's right.
Please come. Tell me. No, in fact, she's going to come visit us at the studio.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, she's never been to our new studio.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what she claims, though. She probably just realized that she had offended me greatly because I'm so easily offended.
He is fragile, folks.
I am fragile.
Yes.
I am fragile. But that's a whole other story at another time. Because the truth of the matter is, you can't offend me. You can try.
It's fun trying.
It's not that you can't say something that's offensive to someone. I have just chosen in my life to not be offended by people. Because for too many years, that was one of the tools the accuser used to hurt me in relationships with other people. I would decide that I was offended. Because remember, being offended is a choice. It is a choice. Somebody can say anything they want to you, and you choose whether it's offensive. I choose not to be offended. And I think if the whole world did that, the bullying problem would be over. Frank?
Oh, I was just wanting a clarification on that because I was really up in the air whether being offended was a choice or not. So I want to get some clarification.
Don't you think being offended is a choice?
Yes, I certainly do.
Bob, do you think it's a choice?
Yep.
Okay, Chris? Come on, pay attention. Get your face up here in the mic.
Huh?
Huh?
No, yeah, I think, but you know what though? You say it's a choice, and I have to say though, for all those folks who are easily offended, it's not an easy choice to not be offended. It's hard, you know. There's a desire to defend oneself. There's a lot there that goes on. So not everybody's experience is exactly the same. But
what did Christ do when he was offended?
Lit him on fire and sent him to hell?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I knew that was coming. Man, was covered up. Ryan, where was the bleep button? Were you ready for the boot? That was where that was going.
Christ never made a defense of himself.
He didn't. Isaiah speaks of him as being like a lamb to the slaughter.
All right. Let's add some humor. 25 really weird things said to a pastor and other church leaders. Tell me if anybody's ever said this to you, Chris. We need a small group for cat lovers.
Oh, my.
Yeah? You need to change your voice. Number 3, our expensive coffee is attracting too many hipsters.
Your church resembles that remark.
Yeah,
probably.
I know. We do. We have a beautiful coffee shop. Preachers who... Oh, I love this one. Oh, are you ready? Here. Frank would say this. Frank, tell me if you wouldn't say this. All right? Here's Frank. He goes up to his preacher and says, preachers who don't wear suits and ties aren't saved. It's in the Bible.
Well, sure. I think I heard that somewhere.
Hezekiah 3:16.
That's right.
Number 5, your socks are distracting. Number 6, you shouldn't make people leave the youth group after they graduate. Number 8.
I have heard that one.
Have you really?
As a youth pastor, I have heard that one. Yep.
This is sad. This is sad, really. I developed cancer because you don't preach from the King James Version.
That's terrible.
These are things actually said to pastors, supposedly. I mean, I don't know that, but what's the source of the story? It's Christianity Today. So I'm going to assume that these are things really said. Your wife never complains to me about my hair or dress. Oh, never compliments me about my hair or dress. What does that mean? Your wife never compliments me about my hair or dress.
It's the expectation that the pastor's wife must always be so nice and say nice things to everybody all the time. That's a whole other can of worms right there.
And never say that just because you're thirsty didn't mean the preacher's sermon was dry as dust.
I never heard that one before.
Never heard that one either. All right.
I got that from Andy Griffith.
Not enough people signed up for the church golf tournament. You have poor leadership skills. Here's one for Shane Vanderhart. I think you are trying to preach caffeineism. Caffeineism.
Caffeineism, yes.
Caffeineism.
Yeah.
Probably Reformed theology with an extra kick. If Jesus sang from the red hymnals, why can't we? That would be the Lutherans, right? Aren't we the one that went from the red to the green hymnals?
Right. There is in Presbyterians we've got a blue one and a red one. So yeah, it's funny. These are funny things.
This isn't really worth commentary, and I hope this is never ever said in the 21st century. But to a pastor who is married interracially, you are living in sin, you shouldn't be married to each other. There's nothing funny about that.
No, it's not.
You're a bad leader because you didn't wrap the hot dogs in bacon for the church picnic.
Amen. Wait a minute. Hold on. I agree with that. Can we? That's a true thing.
Do we hear an amen?
We do hear an amen on that. Bob, no amen?
No amen.
You
No
didn't
amen.
wrap the hot dogs in bacon for the church picnic. You shouldn't drink water when you preach.
What?
Yeah. I mean, I can't give a... I mean, I've got a thing of water right here. I drink 40 ounces in every show almost.
Yeah.
The toilet paper is on the wrong way in the ladies' restroom. It's rolled under.
Boy.
Yes. Well, there is a correct way. It is patented. And when you take a look at, by the way, look this up, the original patent for the roll of toilet paper illustrates that the paper does, in fact, go over the top.
Okay.
But if you have cats, it's a problem.
That is a...
Oh, yeah. You have
That's
cats,
funny.
don't you? Do they play with that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I bet they would. That's
And
funny.
finally, now here's something I could say to the preacher. Why don't you ever preach on Tim Tebow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need more Tim Tebow.
All right. So those are some of the funny news stories and some of the serious news stories. Please pray for that young lady who's in jail right now, Shauna Renee. Whether she gets custody back of her child or not, she needs to find Jesus. And here's the good deal. She's got people around her who are devout Christians. I mean, I know these people.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's not that she's living completely in the dark.
That's right.
The salt is being given to her. The light has been turned on.
That's right.
The scales are just still all over her eyes.
Right. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our break for Salem Radio Network News, and then a young lady's going to join me, and I cannot wait for you to hear her story. You're going to love it. It's a story of redemption, it's a story of faith, and it's a story of grace. You take a listen to Salem Radio Network News. Chris Roloff will be back. Of course, Frank the Verse Thomas will be back. I can't even pay anybody to get rid of him. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, and of course, Ryan's producing. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on Max World Live.